What's up? Welcome back to another episode on InMotion Mediaworks, and today we're going to kick it a little different. So we're going to be using the G-Technic line of products to clean and detail these shoes with a couple specialty products to help enhance the soles and make everything look like brand new. I actually really like these shoes. I've had them for a long time, wear them in the summer obviously, and I recently replaced them with a new pair of DC Villains. Unfortunately, the new pair has a softer foam midsole, similar to what you'd find in the Adidas Cloud Foam, and it's not really my style. I don't like the way it feels. If you compare them to the older Villain shoe, this shoe is just a lot heavier duty, a little bit more well-made. Obviously, they're a different design. This is a leather shoe, while the other one's not. But overall, there's definitely a difference in quality and a difference in design, and I like the old one. Unfortunately, after about 5 years, the soles on these are awfully yellow. They're looking actually like they can't be fixed. But I searched around, I saw some other videos about how to clean your midsoles, whether they're white or other colors, and I decided to order some products and kind of try it out. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to clean and detail the shoe, because we obviously need the whole entire shoe to be absolutely clean before we start to restore any of the parts that cannot be cleaned. So to clean these shoes, we're going to use G-Technic Tri-Clean, which is an awesome all-purpose, all-around cleaner, and we're going to pair that with a couple different tools. The tools that we're going to use are a brush, a magic eraser, something called a Scrub Ninja from Auto Fiber that can be found online, and we're going to use that in combination with the Tri-Clean. So typically a brush has always been the way that you'd clean shoes or anything kind of like this, but recently there's been a number of different tools that have become more commonly used, like the Scrub Ninja. The Scrub Ninja has little tiny fingers, kind of like microfiber, but a little bit more firm. And they scrub and get in nice in the grooves, all the creases of the leather where it's been worn a little bit and a little bit more creased and wrinkled, and gets everything really, really nice and clean. And actually, I prefer it over a brush. A magic eraser works extremely well, but you got to be careful. Magic erasers are a melamine foam, and they are very abrasive. They're almost like, I don't know, maybe 2,000, 3,000 grit sandpaper, and they can actually take the surface off of leather. So I typically only use them on scuffs that won't come off with a brush. I will use them on vinyl because it tends to wear a little bit better. And if I'm using it on leather, I'm just very, very gentle with it. I want to make sure that I'm not scrubbing and damaging the leather surface. After we get it clean, we're going to get it all prepped, dried, and then we're going to see what we can do to restore the soles. So let's get started. Okay, so these shoes aren't that dirty. I am going to leave the shoelaces in. Typically I would take them out, but I have them kind of tied on the backside. They're not really, crazy shoes that I'm trying to restore that are worth some money. So I'm going to leave the shoelaces in. I'm going to clean around them, and we're going to get this all ready. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to spray some Tri-Clean on the Scrub Ninja, get it prepped up. We are also going to spray some on the shoe. We're going to go ahead and start scrubbing. Okay, so the shoe looks a lot better. It's a lot cleaner. We're almost ready to go, but what we're going to do is we're going to use the magic eraser to scrub the midsole and try to prepare it for bleaching so we can make it look like our other shoe. So that, we're going to use a Mr. Clean magic eraser that you can find at your local store. We're going to use some Tri-Clean on this as well. We're going to go ahead and scrub the soles. This is going to take some of the black scuffs and dirt on the surface off. Alright, so now that we have it all finished, we are going to prep this with Angelus Soul Bright, which is a whitener that we're going to apply in here. It's UV activated. We're going to apply it here with a brush, and we're going to wrap it. They suggest wrapping it in saran wrap. I actually like cling wrap because it kind of sticks to the upper part of the shoe and you can kind of wrap it around. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put it on a sheet of cling wrap that you use in your kitchen. We're going to brush the Angelus Soul Bright on here, and like I said, it's UV activated, so I'll let it sit outside tomorrow morning for a few hours. It should bleach it. If I need to reapply it again to make sure that it's wet, the saran wrap or the cling wrap helps keep it wet and not dry out, but I'll check on it after a few hours and make sure that everything's good. Probably be easier if I had a bigger brush, but I'll work with what I got. Any of my other bigger brushes I don't necessarily want to use for this. But as you can see on the other shoe that I showed you earlier, this actually worked really well. It did have a couple blemishes afterwards, which I will show you how to touch up once we get these all cleaned. But it's pretty easy to make some relatively old shoes look like new, kind of milk them for another season. So I wouldn't normally restore shoes like this, and I'm not a huge sneakerhead, although I do like random shoes that I think are cool and kind of collect them. But since I can't buy them, the next best thing is to fix the ones I got. And now we wait. All right, so it's been 24 hours. So we can peel this off and see what we're working with. We'll take some G-Technic panel wipe to remove the excess cleaner that's on there. All right, so I would say overall it looks really, really nice. There's a little bit of discoloration, maybe a little bit around here, and we have a little bit of scuffing up in the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dry clean and give it one more scrub here. See if I can try to clean that up. And if I can't, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some touch up and make it look like the rest of the sole so it looks all nice. All right, so actually, I'm pretty surprised. Almost everything in the entire midsole came out. I would say it's a little bit discolored in here, but it's kind of hard to notice. Overall, I would say it's a pretty big success. Typically, and actually on the other shoe, we had a couple spots in the heel that were scuffs that we couldn't get rid of, along with a couple scuffs in the front. And what we did is we used this Wilkins premium midsole marker, and what you can do is shake it up and actually touch up part of the sole, and surprisingly it blends in really well once it dries, and you can actually lighten up that discoloration. So the other thing that you can do is, whether you buy acrylic based flexible paint, or you can actually unscrew these and dump it into a little airbrush and actually touch up the sole. So because there is a little bit of yellowing in there and I want it to look perfect just like the other one, what I'm going to do now is clean it off with G-Technic panel wipe to make sure all of the oils and cleaners are off the surface. We're going to tape up the shoe nice, and I'm going to airbrush the white midsole marker or the midsole paint and touch up these midsoles and make them look absolutely perfect. So let's do this. Okay, so when you're doing this, G-Technic panel wipe is pretty strong, and it can actually damage leather. It can damage vinyl and some surfaces. I have cut this 50-50 with distilled or filtered water, deionized water, to make it a little less aggressive. We're going to do it very lightly on the towel just to clean the surface off, make sure that the tape sticks well, and make sure that the midsole paint sticks as well. So now we're going to tape it up and get it ready to spray. I have a relatively inexpensive airbrush kit that you can buy on Amazon or something for less than $100. You can go, kind of all out, buy a nice Iwata if you have use for it. I personally don't use airbrushes a lot. I use them for touch-ups here and there, and then I have a separate gun that I use for ceramic coating like grills and tight areas where I can't necessarily apply it by hand and get a full coverage. I'll use it there, but I don't use them a lot, so I have invested in a nice Iwata myself at this moment. So we'll use my inexpensive cheapo airbrush kit. We'll get these things looking right. All right, so I got the shoe taped up. I've got my paint and my airbrush. Airbrush is turned on. We're just gonna lightly dust all over the midsoles, kind of make them look even, brighten them up a little bit, and we should be good to go. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, let that dry for a minute, give it a second coat. Should be just about done. Look at that. Beautiful. Just got to dry a little bit longer. Clean up a little scuff there. Maybe you use a little delinter on the inside. Get it all freshy fresh. And trim this little piece of string. And they're brand new. Get another year out of them. Probably look about the same at the end of this year. And that's how you restore a shoe. I don't know, overall, relatively inexpensively, especially if you can't buy the shoe again. Okay, for the final step, we are going to protect our leather now that we're done cleaning it with G-Technic Leather Guard AB. The AB is an antibacterial. This will help prevent any bacterial growth from forming on the shoe, which is kind of nice because there's a lot of bacteria on your feet. So what we will do is we're going to apply this with a microfiber applicator and then lightly buff off with a microfiber towel. If you don't have a microfiber applicator, you can just use another towel or any other scrap piece of fabric that you might have laying around, essentially just to apply the product on. But you probably want to have a nice clean towel to buff it off and to make sure that you're not contaminating the product and making sure that it sticks and bonds to the surface properly and works. If you have fabric shoes, you're going to want to use G-Technic Smart Fabric, which is essentially the same type of product, but you'll be using that on a fabric surface to make it hydrophobic, prevent any water from leaching into the shoe, making your foot wet, but it also prevent any staining or any damage if something spills on it. This is a great product. We apply this a little bit differently, spraying this on the surface and then letting it sit and drying off the external surface, letting it sit for 12 hours, and then it should be all good. We'll let these sit. We'll give them a second coat, make sure that they're fully protected, and then we'll let them sit overnight. There are going to be links to all these products. Make sure that you click the subscribe button and check out more of our videos. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at InMotion Mediaworks, and we will see you at the next episode.